Hey, how's it going? Today we're going to take a look at Cyberpunk 2077 because the developers have just spoke out about the future of Cyberpunk. Not only are we going to be going over that information, but we're also going to be talking about a few new bugs that just popped up within Cyberpunk that's currently ruining a few saves. Then to finish up the video, we are going to talk about a few more things at the end, but for now, let's go ahead and dive right into this. Let's start off by talking about the developers because they just recently were in a podcast over at CDProjektRed's YouTube channel. We can see on here it says Answer Red Podcast Episode 2, What Makes a Great Quest Great? So within this podcast, there was a developer named Weber that mentioned something quite interesting. Now, first and foremost, if you'd like to, definitely head over towards his Twitter and follow him. Continuing on, the developer had something quite interesting that he had mentioned within this podcast, and let's go ahead and see what it was. The developer Weber had this to say, quote, I do think there are things as an example with, as you said, with the life pass, that this kind of gives you a promise of being able to play more different kinds of characters. I think this is a thing where in the future, that's as an example, something we would like to improve. Since I do think we gave a promise there that maybe in the end we did not really sell. The game begins with this very specific thing. You could be a nomad, a corpo, a street kid, but then it sometimes goes away a little bit. We move it all together, then sometimes you can do it. Weber then continues on by saying, a quest designer, I think in a retrospect, we can see the old topics given more experience, given more time. I think maybe we would make it a bit less muddled than we did there. End quote. Well, to be honest, this is pretty interesting because I'm all for this. If they want to improve more on these choices, again, I'm all for it. Personally, in the next Cyberpunk, I would love there to be more choices and more quests related to Street Kid, or Corpo, or even Nomad. Something that just kind of popped in my head right now is that it would be really cool if we were able to choose a life path of Militech. Now, honestly, they may just stick with the same routine as before, where they just kept the same type of life path, so you only will have Street Kid, Corpo, and of course Nomad. But again, if there was a choice for a Militech path, I would love to do that. I would love to see more things behind Militech, kind of get more into the lore. Not to mention, I'm sure most of us would love to see Blackhand in the next Cyberpunk game. So yeah, come on now, bring me a Militech life path and I'm all for it. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on towards the next topic here. Now in update 2.1, it brought a lot of cool features, a lot of immersive features I should say, but it also brought a few bugs with it. With that being said, I did create a video about 2 weeks ago talking about some of the issues within Cyberpunk. Well, guess what? There are more things popping up within Cyberpunk that sort of has me worried whether or not we may see another patch after this next one coming up. And oh yeah, if you did not know, over at SteamDB, Cyberpunk just updated. I have talked about this a few days ago, but I do want to bring it up now. If you did not know, SteamDB is a great place to go to if you would like to know whether or not your game is going to be updated shortly. What you can tell, it says Cyberpunk 2077 at the top. Then if we go down below where it says branches, you can see that CDPR_internal_QA was updated 4 days ago, and 4 days ago is when I did bring this up to you all, so you probably already know about this. For those that do not know about it, there you go. This update is going to be massive, and I know a lot of you were all like, how is it going to be massive? It's not going to be something huge or add new things to the game, but what it's going to do most likely, which will make it so huge, is that they're going to add FSR3, which is pretty big right now in PC gaming. Anyways, I sort of got ahead of myself here, so we're going to take a few steps back and talk about some of the newest bugs in Cyberpunk. What we are going to do is head over towards CDProjektRed.com, and we're going to head towards the forums because we're going to take a look at the technical tab at the top. If we head down below, we can see this right here, which says bugs after patch 2.1. Then towards the right, you can see it has 47,000 views with 449 replies. So for sure, you cannot say that the game is not bugged or it's not broken right now in certain things, right? Certain mechanics do not work, like the melee finishers, even using Sonic Shock does not work. Those things are definitely broken and need to be fixed. But what if I were to tell you that there are more issues popping up within Cyberpunk? For example, this user named Solop Kato, or however you pronounce that, said this right here. Good evening, everyone. I'm writing today in regards to a new bug concerning using status effects, consumables like food items. In the 2.0 patch, there was a common bug where using status effect consumable items would unequip your healing item from your inventory. With the release of 2.1 patch, this bug has evolved. Prior to the 2.1 patch, it was no big deal. Just go back into your inventory and equip it again or use your weapon wheel. With the 2.1 patch, however, when using status effects, consumable items with the blood pump cyberware equipped, the cyberware will completely be removed from your body and just your inventory. To explain further, I'm in the middle of fighting for max TAC officers during the Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos. When I took a critical hit and needed to heal fast, as I pressed my key to heal, to my surprise, nothing happened. I decided to check my inventory and discovered that my blood pump just magically disappeared during combat. So yeah, this user right here had included some attachments as well that you could see at the bottom, but yeah, this is definitely another issue popping up. Not to mention there's also an issue with sleeping at a mega building, and hopefully they fix that problem as well, and we'll get into that eventually. There's also another issue popping up as of late where you can no longer see the vehicles that you had purchased. This user, Burgle, had this to say at the top for his title: bug, purchased vehicles not showing up on vehicle list. He then continues on by saying this is not limited to a single model. None of the cars that I buy show up on my list. I buy the car, it says it's already owned, and they're not on my list of available vehicles. This is on the latest patch 2.1. Then another user down below, No Q's, had this to say in reply. This user said, "Can confirm same situation on PS5 current patch." Okay, so I'm interested in whether or not you guys specifically on PS5 have experienced this issue, and if you have, let me know down below. Let's have a great conversation about it. Moving on towards the next bug that was reported, and there's quite a few here. This user named Lucas Cruz had made a list down below, and it says this right here. 1. When looking in the mirror, sometimes my V has a gun attached to its hand. It seems to have no effect dropping or unequipping it. It just remains there. Number 2, I can't sleep on my bed on H10 building. Don't know what triggered it, but my guess it happened after I had a date with one of my romance options. 3, no drops of cyberware shards until now. Level 60. Number 4, also had problems with finishers. 5, also saw bugs with shadows. 6, someone mentioned here about Sonic Shock not keeping you in stealth if you use a hack after it. Don't know if it was intentional, but also happening. So right here, there is a few things that I was already aware of, finishers and Sonic Shock, but as for the H10 Mega Building, that one's definitely bugged. You cannot sleep at your house for whatever reason. This fella believes that it's all due to the dating, which it might just possibly be. If you're wondering, is this just a coincidence? No, it's not, because Sir Dr. Professor I think that's how you say it, had this to say right here. Towards number 3, you can see it says, number 3, option to sleep. An H10 apartment at least does not appear during dates until you walk out of the room and re-enter. So right there's got to be some issues with dating, and having the NPC over at your house can potentially bug quite a few things. So let's continue to take a look at Sir Dr. Professor's posts, because he actually has something quite useful here that's helpful. Number 2, after eating food in your inventory sometimes, most of the time, your health consumables unequipped. This has been happening since 2.0, but now if you have blood pump in the slot and becomes unequipped, the cyberware itself also becomes uninstalled, so you have to visit a Ripper dock to reinstall it. Unequipping blood pump intentionally in your inventory works normally and does not uninstall the cyberware, so a temporary solution for now is to unequip blood pump, eat, and then re-equip it. So this right here is quite useful, to be honest, because you're going to be able to use blood pump again, but you do have to unequip it, consume some food, then re-equip the blood pump. This right here is a great way to kind of go around the whole bug. So if you are experiencing that issue specifically, then try this out and let me know if it does help. Now, last but not least, we're going to take a look at one more post here just to confirm all of these issues. This user named Kids or Kids had this to say: platform Xbox Series X. Tier 5 plus items, both weapons and cyberware, cannot be upgraded to Tier 5++. This one was supposed to be fixed by now, but it's been happening since 2.0 dropped. Game doesn't recognize Tier 5++ rarity. If I import my save on PC, it works, but then trying it on Xbox just revert them back to Tier 5+ again. Cyberware capacity shards are not dropping on my level 60 character like ever. Cannot sleep in Mega Building H10, this one's new. Putting down the Chimera core in Mega Building H10 completely breaks my game. I cannot interact with it any longer. And as you can tell, there's a variety of different issues within Cyberpunk 2077. Now, is the game broken? No, it's not. But there are some things in the game that are completely broken. You can still play Cyberpunk, but there may be some things that you cannot do, like the ones that I've mentioned within this video. But the good news is that there's going to be a patch coming up here shortly, and if you have not watched my video prior, I definitely recommend it. But another thing I would like to mention is that if this next patch does not include FSR3, we can definitely expect another patch to come around here shortly. Of course, after this next patch, because I believe this next one is going to fix a variety of different bugs, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed the video so far. If you have, give the video a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, comment down below. I will be answering it within the first hour. Thank you guys for the support, and I will see you all in the next video.